Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you live around the world. We're back after just a very brief pause. I have taken this from a previous drawing set and have made a note that what we're about to do will be a double or a second adaptation of the original drawing method. This one is where we have created I'll just hide these just for a moment, where we adjusted this particular strut here so that it is the same length as this one, for no other reason than I wanted to, and to see what would happen. And what happened was it created a more balanced look to this hexagon for these six shapes. So it's more balanced. You're never going to be able to get where these surfaces will be the same as these ones, because the distance here will always be greater than this distance here. For this, at least, type of drawing. In the pentagon-based one, rather than the square-based one, you can more normalize these triangles, and you could here too, but then it would have an effect in this area here and the height, etc. So it's something we don't have to worry about. So having achieved that equal length, I'm now going to unachieve it. How? Well, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to get rid of that because we are going to delete it. And we're going to have to delete the rest of these as well. So I'll go ahead and do it. So what are we left with? Well, we've got this, and what I'm going to do now, I'm doing this blind. I've already done the exercise of drawing it, so I know there is an interesting change, but I haven't compared it to anything yet. So whatever the change will be, I will take the new dome and use it in comparison to those other domes that I've been showing how they line up with the other photos. So what I've done is I've rotated this plane here, which was on the 45, and I've rotated it to the halfway point. And I rotate it again and copy it to that point. What has that done? Well, nothing at the moment, except give me the point. In fact, I only really need it to be rotated once through there. Can we join the two rays that project from the center of the dome, of the sphere? Can we join those and make the strut? Well, no, we can't, because these don't reach yet that flush and plane surface. So what we can do is unhide. Where that line projects through, I can now draw the strut to create the surface. I can hide those because I've already got the intersection point here. I'll get rid of the guide, and we can create the rest of the dome. Don't need that one. Need that one. And in short order, we've got the new dome faces, or the quadrant at least, of which I'll now group. I'll colour differently because it's more advantageous to have each area or each type in a different colour, of which I'm losing track of, so it becomes problematic. I can move that across and see that we have indeed got a different, quite a different look. How different compared to those photos. Let's just have a little bit of an attempt here. We come across, rotate 90 degrees times the 3, and now we're back to having that curvature in the 4 struts that we were wanting. And we have lost a little bit of the symmetry or the balance in here, but it's still better than it once was. Is it all worth it? That's actually a jolly good question. Make group. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go to my other photos and drawings and paste it. Now, remembering that this was all about trying to get the hubs at this point to line up with this photo. Will it line up with this one? It shouldn't, because this one was created quite differently. So again, looking at the hexagon, this is not quite as balanced as this one. This is much more closely related to this shape. The difference here, is it that much? Well, it's getting back to it's abridging this in this photo, and it's and this is a very original one. This is identically this is identical to this one, so it's between these two, I think. Okay. Jeez. Okay, so I move this and insert it to there. I can hide that for just now. Better make this transparent, hadn't I? Get rid of that. We swap back to the original original drawing. So I click on that. Click on that. See whether I can edit it. Yes, we can. Go to plan view. Take away this perspective. And we're not quite there. Again, none of these should have changed. I was well pleased with the placement of those, but we've counted, again, too far back towards creating this as a more balanced strut. So it's closer, probably, to this photo than this one. So we're swinging backwards and forwards, always asking the question, is it really worth it? I'll just group these for a moment and hide. And I'll move this across. Oh, actually, I'll copy it. And so we're, again, closer to this model. Maybe the difference there is equivalent of the distance there. So we're not really advancing our project, but through, how am I saying, through this process, we're trying to find an approach that will give us a more representative copy of what these people have been able to achieve. Who says that this person, how they created a dome, was better or more correct than this person? It's a jolly good question in itself, actually. So I'm hesitating because I'm trying to think that if there's little difference, is there any benefit between this version and this version? I can achieve a reasonable version here, which is identical through my drawing approach, my base version, but this version and this version need to be fudged, adapted. Is it worth it? It's a jolly good question. I really don't have the answer yet. And again, I may just have these two alternate methods of drawing put aside for just now, and as I said in a previous video, put them on the back burner and let them ruminate while we proceed with the other aspects of the drawing, of which here I'll allude to. I'm not going to concentrate on it. It's not worth the including it. But this dome representation was created with the struts beneath the grids. I'll just call the skin or the skeleton. Yet this one with them above. There's a couple of benefits of both approaches. The benefit of this is that we don't have to taper the actual frame, so they all remain square, but we can insert tapers that we'd have to create in between each panel. The downside of that is that those spaces, those tapers, are all different. How different? I don't know, but they would be sufficiently different that you couldn't. This taper here is definitely. I'll just show you what I'm talking about. The distance between the 2 points there is about 35 millimeters. It's about 28 there, and here, well, your guess is as good as mine, because that the points of intersection there, you're only talking about 10 mils. And the question then is, how do we fill those sufficient that it doesn't then mean that when we screw them together it starts to distort the frames? Because if you do that as you're screwing them together, they'll try to flatten. Now, Paul Robinson, I think in one of his videos, showed that what he did, which I thought was quite clever, was he put screws in the side here and left them sticking out, so that as they came together, they would the screw head would push up against this other triangle, giving you the geometry. And I thought, well, that's actually quite a good idea, because it's also adjustable if you used a hex head, a coach screw, timber screw, and you could adjust it to give greater or lesser pressure as the want became apparent or was needed. It's a good point. What is puzzling at the moment, however, is that because I used the grids underneath, why there's any interference here, because wouldn't one think that if this is the point of intersection that all of these timbers would be separate? Question. I have to think about that. Okay, that's it. I'll go away and come back later. Okay, bye.